3. We're live. We're live. It's Epic Cash Friday. You know, it's my favorite time of the week. And forgive me while I try to get this. There we go. Zoom pops up and just wants to remind me that we're going live. And I know, but I have to close this silly window. Old McDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O-U. That's what we're here to talk about today. E-I-O-U. Who is we? Who is we? We have Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash, and we have Yoga Dude, who is master of all. That's all I come up with, Yoga. When I think of you, it's just like you're all over the place. You look at you in the Telegram charts. You exude unconscious competence in about every single area. So you're just the master of all, man. You're my sensei. Okay, hello, welcome everyone in the chat. Please do hit that like button and let folks know that we exist. Our friends over at YouTube have I'm going the other way. I used to be at 2,990 forever, and then we popped over 3,000. Now I'm 2,980. What did I do to offend anyone? Huh? Come on, tell people about the show. Okay, Max. By the way,
Yes,
just
sir.
For those people who have short attention spans and may bail out later, please know that I will be on, I'm not going to call it a vacation, a working vacation through next Friday. So there will be no Uncle Vigilante live streams next week. I apologize. Have had a pretty good track record and a long run of delivering content. So fear not, but just for those of you who might want to do something else during those other anticipated hours, please do. Okay, Max, I'm handing it over to you because you have some special information to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just go screen share here.
All right.
Morning, everybody. Be sure to smash that like button and say hi in the comments.
Perfect.
All right, so you can see my screen. Yeah,
I can.
all right. So here's what we're going to do. We've been working really hard for quite a long time and making good traction on engaging with sources of capital, angels, VCs, and so on. And there's significant interest in funding the growth of our ecosystem. But that's a process that takes weeks and months rather than hours and days. And meanwhile, there's a lot of things that if we had resources now, we could put them in motion now and get things to move faster. So what we came up with is we would like to raise $1 million from the world at large. Of that, whatever portion can come from our community. We obviously want to offer our family the first opportunity on preferential terms. So essentially, we're going to use the E-I-O-U token to raise money to fund infrastructure initiatives and a little bit of marketing and other stuff. If anybody wants to see the budget, it's listed there. So essentially, in a nutshell, what we're going to do is if you have any spare cash lying around, we can take BTC, we can take Epic, we can take Ether, we can take Tether, we can also take Fiat. McMurphy is coordinating all of this. If you have $10, $100, $10,000, whatever, send it into McMurphy. You will get 2 E-I-O-U tokens per dollar that you contribute. What's an E-I-O-U? Well, when we get later funding, we are going to use some of that to retire these E-I-O-U tokens and pay out $1 worth of Epic at whatever the price is at the time. So you put in $1, you get 2 out, a very simple, straightforward proposition. And to make it extra juicy, the first $100,000 worth that comes in will get 1 ECR as well. So whatever people are feeling like contributing, please get on that now because time is of the essence and there's a lot of stuff to build. So connect with McMurphy. We'll share the link here soon. And then however much we don't get up to that $1 million figure that we're looking for as an interim bridge between where we are and where we're going, we will go out to different crowdfund marketplaces. In the crowdfund marketplaces, we have actually twin goals. So number one, of course, we hope to raise some money. Hey, Avalanche guys, we're here. We're Epicenter DAO. We've got these E-I-O-U tokens on Avalanche that you can buy with your AVAX. Click here to buy them. But let's say 10 people see our opportunity and only one buys. Is it a waste for the other 9 people? Absolutely not, because those other 9 people who see us that are into Avalanche, that are participating in these Avalanche new issues, even if they don't choose to buy that particular offer, maybe they come take a look at Epic and they go, hey, that's pretty interesting. I've never heard of that. I like Avalanche. I like Avalanche for my Ethereum style DeFi needs, but Epic looks like a pretty good form of money. So maybe I go buy some of that too. So we've got a plan in mind to connect into various chain ecosystems. The first one that we like is BNB, Binance Smart Chain. So Pancake Swap. There's a platform called Ignition where we've decided to make that our primary place to gather Ether for the DAO Treasury. There's a platform called Radium that's built on Solana. Avalanche is number 4, or Avalanche for AVAX. Card Starter gets us into the Cardano community. Pools gets us into Near. Polka Starter gets us into Polkadot. Moon Edge gets us into Chronos. That's the crypto.com chain. Pools also handles CKB Nervos. And Polka Starter does Celo. And so it's quite a bit of work. But when we do this, we will get additional marketing exposure into those chain communities. And that sets the stage for ECR and EUSD and EMPL to be issued on those chains as well. So E-I-O-U is kind of like a pathfinder mission, an exploratory sort of like, how consumer products companies, they'll test market the new flavor of soda in Phoenix, Arizona for one summer just to see how it sells before rolling it out nationwide.
Test a new flavor of crickets. Yep.
yeah. Australian children, 1,000 schools. Crickets or cockroaches? Which tastes better, kids? So really, like, shout out to Islo. He's been working really hard helping with the ECR white paper. We're working really hard on getting that released. We want people to know what they're getting. It'll end up being more of a white book than a white paper. There's a lot of material there. Yeah. And so ultimately what we want to do is have ECR, EUSD, EMPL, EUSD out on all these different chains, but we have to build relationships with the people in there. With the, right now we have a single relationship with Veet and the folks over there, and VGate and our pools and our wallet softwares and stuff. For Epic to be truly universal money and usable as a system of currency, we need to connect ourselves into everywhere. And so with this first baby step into these other ecosystems with a very clean, very simple, very understandable value proposition. Hey, give us $1, we'll give you 2 back. Maybe you don't believe us, but okay, double your money, especially right now. That's a pretty good deal. Some people are going to take that. The days of 100x are behind us. There were thousands of crowdfund raises through these various DeFi platforms. This list, incidentally, that's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 platforms, was originally 46. There's 46 different DeFi crowdfund launch marketplaces. And we ended up with these 9 as the best way to say, hey, Binance Smart Chain community that's doing BNB, we want to engage with you long-term, and this is the first step. You never get a second chance at a first impression. So before we go out there with ECR, which is really the pony in the picture, this is kind of like our initial step on a very limited basis.
Max, let me ask you a question. So this is a short list. This is 9, right? Projects that are very well known that are out there. And when I think of ores that are wet, we have our relationship with Veet, and shortly there is someone in our community who may be listening, or maybe we could do an outreach to through t.me/Epic Cash and any other appropriate place. but it sure would be nice to have some people who have rich experience with B&B that might know some people who know some people, right? To be able to, and so it's just kind of an open call to the community. If you're one of those people, please feel free to reach out, DM Max directly, DM me directly, DM Yoga directly, or just drop a, hey, I'd like to talk about AVAX. I have some pretty good contacts over there. We would love your help. Would we not?
Yep, absolutely. So if anybody plays on these ecosystems and has connections with anybody, that would certainly be helpful. If we dream a little bit together about what the world might look like a year from now, let's say, based on these initial steps, I think PancakeSwap has 1.7 million users, something like that. Ignition, about the same. Radium has been a major factor in the growth of the Solana ecosystem. Really long term, we want our ECR token to circulate on the other chains that exist out there and connect into their DeFi ecosystems. And that becomes kind of like the basis, the backbone of the EUSD lending system, because Epic has a value. We need ECR to have a value, and those two together form the building blocks for people to be able to issue themselves credit through the Bank of Me and give themselves EUSD loans. So we're not just raising money. We're not just doing a marketing exercise. We're investing in sinew and muscle tissue and tendons that connect our world into these other worlds.
Excellent. So Yoga.
And Uncle, real quick. Yeah, well, here you go. Yeah, my turn. But first of all, I want to make sure that everybody's hearing me. I got some feedback that my microphone was quiet, and
way better.
I'm not the epic whisperer. I'm the epic shouter. So so look, the way I see this is there's an incremental benefit here. Okay, so by externalizing into these crowdfunding pools, we're creating not only opportunities for funding, but we're also building awareness about our project. Okay, so this is kind of a two-tier thing, and people, maybe even if they don't invest into the crowdfunding effort, they would invest into Epic. Maybe they'll invest into both. But the bottom line is, people who consider investing will do due diligence and see our value proposition across the board. So this is not only a kind of a venture to create an infrastructure development fund, but it's also an active effort and a passive effort to expand our marketing outreach.
Right. So as I understand it, because I know we're in the process of larger Series A type raises, until those ships come in, which is going to turbocharge the entire Epic ecosystem, that's going to allow us to literally one day become the world reserve currency, BHAG. This is going to allow us to be able to continue to chip away at the rock, right?
This is kind of a gap effort, if you will. So the conversations we're having with VCs and angel investors, some of these have a certain cycle length. I mean, you just cannot get past the due diligence and the letters of intent and all that stuff. No matter how good your pitch is, it's a fixed process. And VCs specifically, they move at a glacial speed. They move very, very slowly. They're moving, it takes them a quarter or even 2 quarters, to make a decision. So this is something that, while we're pursuing that on the top level, this is something that creates an opportunity for gap funding to essentially, get us there while we're doing this, by allowing us to complete vital pieces of our ecosystem. By the way, this expenditure also makes us much more compelling to invest.
It does.
So this is because people always look at, especially big investment firms, they also look at, well, who else trusts you? Who else put their skin in the game? One thing that we already have that's really tremendous is our amazing community that is putting skin in the game every day, any which way they can, by mining Epic, by holding Epic, by telling the Epic story to everybody else, you know, by participating in our social media outreach and all these other things. So, but on top of this, having these quantifiable external crowd-funded chunks of cash coming in into the ecosystem allows us to make our ecosystem more complete faster, and then ultimately allows us to take take a shot at much more ambitious goals to truly cement Epic into not like the top 500 or the 200, but into the top 5, into, you know, to get it to the whole entirely different level of accessibility and user friendliness.
Let's talk about the specifics. So when you send your hard-earned money in, what are we going to do? I mean, wild parties in the desert with Ferraris and strippers. Okay, that's important. But no, I'm kidding. What are we going to do with the money? These are the things that are ready to go right now, that will move the needle, that will make all of our Epic more valuable, that we've been working on a long time and are shovel ready in Obama's parlance. So a lot of these are just the initial numbers to get started. We're taking it in phases, and things cost money, and the more that you want to do, the more money it costs. But that doesn't mean it's black and white, and we need to have everything in hand on a $10 million project to get started. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So what we have is a tag for each initiative: ECIP, Epicenter Investment Proposal. TD4 is building blocks. The Stack wallet is not just the Stack wallet. Those are building blocks for people to build mobile applications that connect into the Epic network. So there's a gentleman named David up in Canada who is working on a Freeman Express mobile app as we speak, based on the CipherStack technology. And so this is an investment not just in that, but kind of like a toolkit, like cells assemble amino acids into protein. These are the raw materials for future innovations. Desktop GUI wallet, what we have is great. Version 4 is amazing. Let's take it to V5. We've gotten a bunch of feedback. There's some tweaks we can make, polish, make it a little more user-friendly, take the sync time down from 72 hours down to 17 minutes, connected to
we already
do
did
all kinds of stuff.
I thought we already did that.
Yeah. Just so at the protocol level,
we're talking about more interoperability between the
yeah, we're stitching all these pieces together.
Wallet.
Okay,
yeah, making it, all those little interconnection points. What do you mean I can't send from Stack to Vite or vice versa? What is this? Remember, the help desk is there every day with people showing their frustration. How do I do this? This is confusing. Right. Help me. What do I do? And so instead of giving people a list of links, here, go watch this video and solve your problem, why don't we just redesign the thing to make it easier so that people don't have that problem in the first place? So also we need to iterate our stuff.
Right, and also as the core team improves the core, there will be additional integration needed to update the wallet to reflect those improvements. And again, this is all going towards making the user experience more fluid and more intuitive.
Yep, we have a chain capacity of 1.4 million transactions a day. And wouldn't it be great if people were actually using it as money 1.4 million times a day to make transactions?
Right. So, oh shoot, I was going to say, is ECR part of this, or is ECR already complete? We're just waiting for the white book.
ECR is just a token. It's not really a development budget thing. What we need is the white book. I mean, there's so much going on here. Like, I'll give you an example of what we're working on right now. So, what is the utility of an ECR? Why does it have a value? Why should I hold this thing into next year, next month, whatever, whenever, versus just selling it today? We're doing ourselves a disservice unless people understand what is this thing that they are getting, because the sell button is one click away. And it would be very bad if, because of our lack of consideration in educating people about our intentions and our future goals for what we intend to do with that tool, if they just said, hey, I got $50 worth of tokens. Let me just cash them in and move on. And then a year later, they're like, shit, I could have bought a house and all I got was this $50. And our precious tokens are in the hands of speculators that are not with wet oars helping our community grow. So there's a lot of details here that have major implications for our success or lack thereof years down the road. So ECR is not really a money thing. It's more of a bandwidth thing of team members to produce that content about what exactly is ECR and why you would want to own it. So go ahead.
Oh, I said, yep.
Yep. Okay. So EDEX is a major part of this. This EDEX Atomics will enable you to chain to chain atomic swap with BTC initially, then LTC, then then other coins. So if you want to have the Epic chain talk to the BTC blockchain and do an atomic swap, no middleman, no fee other than just on-chain gas fees to get the transaction to go. This is a way of getting the Epic chain to talk to the BTC chain so that users can do atomic swap. So that's the atomics part of EDEX. And 50 grand gets that started. EDEX local, you may be familiar with BISC or Haveno in the Monero world. That's essentially a peer-to-peer trading resource. So if you want to find somebody in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, and go and give them lempiras and meet in a cafe or take payment over Skrill or whatever, you can post your offers there. Paxful is also another site that many people use. Imagine a peer-to-peer marketplace where you can find people to do trading directly. Again, no middleman, no fee, just a resource for people that want to trade, to find each other, to post their offers and manage reputation and things like that. EDEX order book is basically VTEX. We're all familiar with that. We're going to take our existing presence on Vite and wrap it in a pretty interface that's easy to use. People get confused all the time about, what do you mean I have to click the red? Can't I just enter the order? Like, I see that stuff in the help desk all the time. With a little bit of work, we can put a sexy interface on top, and eventually we'll migrate some of the under the hood internals to our own advantage. But there's definitely small wins that we can achieve there that will minimize friction for new people that want to get into our ecosystem. I'm not going to share the name, but I had a major guest on the DNA of Bitcoin podcast within the past week. He's got about 450,000 subscribers. After we did that and he kicked the tires, he pinged me today going, hey, can you help me transfer my BTC out of Coinbase and buy your coin? We saw what happened with SGT report when he did that similar homework. In that case, it was a multi-year process of getting him to that point.
Do me a favor, I just have to put this in the universe. As you hold his hand through that, as tempting as sometimes it is to just help people hit the easy button with OTC, let's get him in there, because if he has 400,000 subscribers and can he himself fish?
100%. So buyepiccash.com. So we send everybody to buyepiccash.com and teach them to fish.
Can you pull that up? I don't know if I've ever been there.
Yeah. So right now, it just goes to VTEX. But
okay.
what we're gonna do on this domain is imagine that there's help, how to, click here to go to the help desk. You want a video guide on how to buy, how to deal with the wallet, all that stuff.
Okay.
We have the domain, and the V0 version is that the domain just goes to the purchasing page, but then we're going to wrap around that little nucleus all of the other stuff that new people need, especially new people, to learn how to work it.
Go back to your budget then. Is that on here? Because that to me would probably be one of the greatest levers that we could have, is having somebody that literally makes it the easy button to just go to buy Epic Cash, and anybody can do it.
Sure, we can throw some.
See how sausage making is done, folks.
Yeah. Yep. Great suggestion. We can throw a little bit there.
For me, I have had so many people that I've tried to get in, and they're all ready, and then this one,
they get frustrated and then they leave. It's too hard.
Still pisses me off. There's one guy, he literally had $25,000 of BTC ready to go, and he wouldn't do it without his son present. And he and his son called me. They were ready to go 5 minutes before an Epic Cash live stream. And I said, guys, I got to go live. Please, afternoon, this weekend, anytime. And you know what? The guy went dark. So I missed getting him in for 25 grand of Epic, and it really upsets me. So if it were easier, if hey, dude, just go to buyepiccash.com and easy peasy.
100%.
Okay, great.
Yep, 100%. So we'll I don't know what we'll throw there. We're only up to 900, and I think we probably get more than 1 million. Under promise, over deliver is always good. And this is obviously a moving target. And as we identify other opportunities, basically what we're looking for is as we're pushing the boulder up the mountain, we're looking for pebbles that we can deal with along the way. Pebbles, golf balls, oranges, grapefruits, cantaloupes. Todd and I talk about this all the time. Todd Lewis on the tech development front.
You know what? Pushing that boulder up, you also look for doggy bags, because you can step in some shit along the way, right? When you're pushing that boulder up, you can get into trouble. There's a whole industry that's in trouble right now, where the SEC is going to tap them on the shoulder because they weren't designed defensively. So I think including some of those doggy bags with the pebbles is a smart idea. But I'm a dog.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, I had to go on mute there for a second. And it reminds me, not included on here, I should add it in there. It's on another document, is for legal. Out of an abundance of caution, we are going to register E-I-O-U as a securities offering in Wyoming with the SEC, even though it's primarily marketed to non-US people, just as a form of insurance. You know, when you buy an umbrella and it doesn't rain, that doesn't mean that the umbrella was a waste, because it could have rained and then you would have been glad that you had the umbrella. So as always, we are proceeding cautiously and intelligently. So we're going to build out the eDex. EC Mint will make it easy for people to build their own pools. We've currently got 3, but as we grow, we're going to need a lot more. Incidentally, our hash rate since the Ethereum merge to proof of stake on ProgPow is up, what is it, Yoga? About 500% in a couple of weeks. So
it's spiked, but it honestly it spiked a lot, and then it pulled back a little bit, but it's still way over what it's been. So yeah.
Okay, for us non-miners, can you guys, Yoga, maybe you can just educate us. What does that mean? Like,
okay, so what that means is it makes Epic harder to mine. That's kind of the bottom line, okay? Because there's so many people. So we have fixed emission, right? And you make adjustments for difficulty. And you see that blue graph right there, okay? You see that horrendously huge spike. So as people knew that Ethereum is going to proof of stake versus proof of work, people were looking for all these alternative ways to utilize their mining equipment.
Yeah.
And you saw that middle of September where our difficulty spiked. Okay, so that's the network hash rate increased, and therefore, you know, the more people are trying to fish, and there's a fixed amount of fish, obviously it gets more challenging to do the fishing. And these Ethereum people are running around right now trying to, they're kind of like blind kittens looking for a teat, trying to find a source of monetization for all of their gear, because for many years, they're just sitting there refreshing their profit screen and not really having to, to do much. And they weren't aware that Epic was actually more profitable to mine than Ethereum. So, but there's a sweet spot. So if you see where the graph jumped up extremely, and then it kind of came down a little bit. So the graph right now is trying to kind of find this equilibrium point where where it's profitable for people, to mine, like their cost of electricity.
So that spike up, that spike up, people were like, oh, cool, let me get into this. And the spike down is, man, this shit ain't profitable. Is that fair?
Well, it's not shit ain't profitable. That's really denigrating, because at this point, I can't think of any proof of any ProgPow crypto that's really profitable unless you have free equipment and free electricity. So, so to say that we're specifically not profitable, it's just we have a higher threshold of profitability than other cryptos still. Now, the sexy thing in all of this is the rest of the graphs. It's not the ProgPow, because that's only 48% of our mining. Okay. What makes us cool is that all these other cryptos kind of took a hit of all of this massive Ethereum mining being applied to them. Whereas for us, that affects 48% of our emission. People with, let's say, gaming computers and people with business computers who are using their CPUs are unaffected by this, because, again, this was a hit in the ProgPow market, not in the RandomX market. Okay. So by balancing between the two, we actually have a kind of a better rounded, and if you want to use the word fair, kind of a more fair approach to mining. So like gamers, for example, didn't get as screwed as dedicated miners. And that, to me, represents the opportunity for the mainstream to use Epic for passive income. You got a massive gaming rig. It's sitting there mining on ProgPow and mining on RandomX, but then you start competing with all these Ethereum guys. So maybe you shut off that portion of your mining and you just stick to mining RandomX, and it's still profitable. So this gives you optionality with Epic, which is one of the many reasons why our multi-algo approach is so cool and unique.
That is cool.
It's not just making something that makes us harder to hack because people have to overcome all three algos, but it's actually something that makes us, more diversified in terms of how people are able to to get our coins. They can get it with a processor, they can get it with a graphic card, and that in itself is pretty cool.
Yeah, and cryptocurrency mining is not the only way to generate economic return from IT resources. If you have CPUs, you can do web hosting. If you have servers, as an example, if you have GPUs, you can do graphics rendering, medical modeling. There's all kinds of ways that people can make money using their hardware. So we're not just competing against other coins, we're competing against alternate uses for that hardware. And again, the emphasis here is on the flexibility. Uniquely, because we have polyphasic proof of work, we have the ability to fine tune what we offer out to the marketplace in terms of our security budget, because basically the way I look at it is mining is essentially paying the world at large to maintain the security of our network in exchange for what? For newly issued coins, currently 5,760 a day. I was at a conference here this week and had some good FaceTime with Christy Lee Minahan, the creator of the ProgPow algorithm. And she was talking about the impact of the proof of stake merge on the overall mining market and energy concerns and stuff like this. And our approach is just a complete breath of fresh air. Nobody is doing this, at least yet. And so as imagine you're a ship out on the water and there's waves that are rocking you around. We have the ability to have a more stable ship that doesn't get buffeted by these waves of, okay, now Ethereum's proof of stake. Oh my God, GPU miners are coming. The hash rate went up 5,000% or whatever. Our network stays stable in response to exogenous environmental changes in a way that others aren't able to.
I was going to go back to that real quick. I don't know if other people have this in their lives, but I look at the clock. I tend to look at the clock every day at 3:33. If I had to take a leak in the middle of the night, inevitably I see 3:33. So when I saw the blockchain side 3:33, I don't know, it just feels good to me. That's it. Okay, go to I digress.
Yeah. So we're gonna get.
By the way, Business Neom says, glad to hear Max talking real business. Impressive. So am I getting that right? Is it Neom? I think so. But anyway, you're welcome. Yeah, this is cool. So go ahead and continue, Max. I just wanted to
All right, I'm going to go on screen, off screen share and check the chats, but I'll get to that later. Let me turn that on again. 1 second.
Sure.
All right. So basically, if you trust us with your money, this is what we're going to do with it. ECX is basically imagine that you want to sell goods and services in your local market, plugging it into your website, accepting Epic as payments, really just making it easy for people that want to do online commerce to use our stuff. ECK, we've talked quite a bit about. That's the Canary version of Epic that runs an advanced configuration. It'll cost a lot more than 50 grand to ultimately build it, but we can do a lot with to get started. We have years worth of accumulated research to go on. We certainly can spin a testnet up. ECK is probably where we're going to play around with the quantum resistant algorithm for the first time, called dilithium crystals, and also proof of space-time. We're currently evaluating 2 different approaches, one from Chia, the other from Space Mesh. And what proof of space-time enables us to do is keep the economic security profile of mining, but take the energy out, because it's still scarce with respect to data storage.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Can you go back to the other one that showed the 333? All right, so right down there you have Cuckoo, ProgPow, Random X. Are you talking about these additional things you're talking about would be like 2 additional options on that chart?
Yes.
So this is Epic. Epic must be 100% uptime, completely stable forever. We can never afford, like 99.9999999 is not good enough for Epic. So what we're going to do, imagine that there's a copy paste, Control C, Control V, and now there's a new Explorer, and it says this is the ECK Explorer, and the ECK Explorer will show the exactly this data for that chain, which is just basically the E4 version of Epic. The changes that we intend to pull into Epic, we're going to test them out in the real world using ECK first, and find the bugs. If you've been engaged with the Stack wallet, especially the Telegram group, we've been quashing all kinds of bugs. It's an unavoidable thing in software. All software has bugs, especially that created by humans. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because every bug we quash means that the next 10,000 people don't have that same issue. And we also learn a lot how to make it easier. I set up a 77-year-old woman that was manning the door at the Web3 Expo event with a Stack wallet the other day, and she had her font size blown up on her phone so big that she couldn't see the seed words because it scrolled past the bottom of her Galaxy flip phone. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. I never would have thought of that. But you know what? Thanks to her efforts in helping us dog food our stuff, our stuff gets better. And the next 1,000 senior citizens won't have that issue that was a bit of a roadblock as I was setting her up with the wallet. So ECK gives us a playground to test the things that we want to build into Epic and see how it works, make sure everything is perfect. I always like to say, if you have 1 out of 10,000 people that have some kind of issue and you get 1 million users, then that's 10,000 unhappy people. And I know from e-commerce that when we had an unhappy customer, they were 100 times more likely to post a negative review and saying how bad we suck than happy customers going, yeah, I'm so happy about this. Let me go post a 5-star review. No, it hardly ever happens. And if you get too many of those, then it's like, oh, 2.1 stars, your stuff sucks. And then there's a spillover effect, because people that hear your about what you have to offer become dissuaded by that feedback from other users. So it's very crucial.
Yeah. So now I understand ECK. That's going to be basically an area where you guys can play. You can eliminate bugs, but then will there come a point in time where you're satisfied, and then instead of 3 on the Epic Cache, we'll have 4 or 5?
Yep.
Okay.
So basically, we know what E4 is going to be because we've put it to use. We put it out in the world on ECK first and worked out all the kinks, so that when we do upgrade from, like, you remember when we upgraded from E2 to E3, how there were all those teething issues? oh, you know, let's do this, and mining pools and nodes. And I mean, like all of that friction becomes easier when you've taken a coat of sandpaper, passive sandpaper, an additional time before getting it out there. So this is a very important step for the maturity of our development process. And we're able to get that started with a very modest amount of money. Now, we won't be able to go to mainnet with 50 grand, but we can certainly get a lot of the steps on the way there.
Okay, let's get down to basics with them.
Okay.
What's in it for me? If I invest $1,000, what am I going to get?
Yeah. So if you invest $1,000, you get 2 E-I-OU tokens that will eventually pay you back $2,000. And if you're one of the first 100,000 to come in, then you will also get 1 ECR token per dollar of contribution value. So if you were part of that first 10% of people to come through, then you would get 1,000 ECR as well.
That's awesome.
So at a minimum, you double your money, plus you get free ECR, is how I would look at it.
And you help operationalize the ecosystem as we are bringing in the VC investors or angel investors. And believe you me, part of the use of funds with that money that comes in is what, Max, with these E-I-O-Us?
Yeah, so if you look here on the biz dev screen, let me go ahead and blow that up so people can see it. So if you haven't been to epicfund.me, it's really beautiful. It's coming together. There's a lot more still to be done. The old site, epicfundme.com, which people are using for crowdfunding, is still there. You can get to it. But this is where the real action is. So as people want to learn about what we have to offer here, okay, you want to invest in our bridge. Okay, here's what we've got for you. We're looking for $5 million to build the bridge. So the Epic Fund Me site, there's a lot that we can do with this. Now, specifically, this company here, LenderKit, has white label crowdfund software so that all of our initiatives. So right now, Ecliptic needs funding, EDH needs funding, EEA needs funding, EXPR needs funding, Freeman Express needs funding. All these things that are going to build out our ecosystem need funding. And it's very inefficient to talk to individual VCs and do business the old fashioned way. Wouldn't it be great if we had the equivalent of Kickstarter, where people can come and throw down $100 at a time and buy equity in, it's not just equity, it's equity, debt, and donations that they offer. So epicfund.me will enable our ecosystem of startups to access capital from investors and spit out all the regulatory or the required regulatory documentation. That's the key in all of this, is filling out the forms and jumping through the hoops and dotting every I and crossing every T to make sure that in 2027, we don't have any problems. So with the with the white label crowdfund software from LenderKit, we actually will be able to take in fiat as well as crypto from the US, EU, UK, and even Saudi Arabia. So there's a lot of money out there looking for opportunities. And if you're familiar with platforms such as Start Engine, Valban, Gust, Angel List, there's about 24 equity crowdfunding sites out there that I benchmarked. And so we're really pressing forward on all fronts. Essentially, what this initial 50 grand gets us started to build out our own platform to be able to take in crowdfunding from the world at large, as not a replacement for, but as in addition for our own internal efforts, as well as VC and angel funding.
You know, I'm speaking for the community at large right now. Over the last year, I'd say, you know, we've had several opportunities to be able to help with whether it was getting listed on Bitmart or whatever, where we did E-I-O-U raises. I think many of us are at a point to where we are so invested into Epic Cash. There's just not a lot of cash left at the end of the month. because we're all into Epic Cash, and we have provided some support before. That said, as you're going through this, in my mind, if I could take, $1,000 and you created an easy button to where I know I have, let's say $3,000 in my bank account, and I want to be able to send 1,000 of that to Enrique or whomever without jumping through hoops. Would we take credit cards? I don't know.
We can find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Okay.
So we've got McMurphy's contact info on there. We'll go ahead and share this link around. So whatever you've got, we will find a way. It all spends the same. And
well, I think even the more cash that you ended up getting, that would be better, because that's less you would have to necessarily convert, to fiat to pay some of these services, unless all of these services accept other.
They take, almost everybody takes crypto now. Certainly the people that we work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So copper, that is for custody. That is so institutions can securely store their currency. That's key infrastructure for our journey going forward. Ramp is a company that allows people to buy on credit card. I know there's some funky options through Stellar that occasionally work and most of the time don't. But imagine somebody can have an easy button to buy Epic on credit card. That would be pretty cool. So that's what Ramp gets us. NetSense is a similar integration. And then Free Exchange. This one is interesting. So through our partner Shift Markets, they run 36 different platforms, essentially Binance or FTX style trading platforms, as a centralized custodial exchange. That's going to be under the Freeman Express umbrella. So what Free Exchange will enable you to do is, for a single membership fee, you can trade all you want with no fees, essentially the Robinhood model. Unlike Bitmart, where we were just one of 600 coins and nobody cared, and we get lost in the noise, Free Exchange is all about Epic. It's just a resource for our community. We don't care about any other coins. If you have Tether, if you have Circle, if you have Cardano, if you have BCH, BSV, there's about 20 initial pairs, the ones that represent 95+% of the market, that you will be able to have an easy button to convert those other cryptos into Epic and eventually EUSD and our other stuff. We've essentially got our own FTX or Binance there. That's been in the works a long time.
Will that be KYC?
100%. Anything centralized and custodial, anything involving fiat, like the world at large is a KYC world, and that's not for everybody. So but for those who prefer it, now remember, a lot of institutions, a lot of people, we don't happen to like that. I don't like that, but a lot of people do. And so having it there as an option, even for those who don't use it, increases the value for everybody. But the main thrust here, as you can see, is over on the EDEX side. So chain-to-chain atomic swap, local trading, order book swap. That's more like a Uniswap or Sushi Swap. Just click and it goes through. You don't have to mess with the order book. So we're really trying to cover all angles here.
That's awesome. So I mean, this is an investment in our future, everyone. And I know you've been working really hard on this. And look, we've been working very hard on raising a lot of money from the VC community, and you should see the stack that they send of due diligence. And there's so much due diligence that we have done. I think that one model, my God, how many pages of the model is there that Enrique built?
550 pages when I went to print it.
550 pages.
I've never seen a 550 page spreadsheet model. Even a 5 or 50 would be enormous. To give you an idea of the level of detail that we went into, we calculated the 15 to 64 internet penetration of females in Senegal and how many payments per week they're likely to make. That's the level of granularity that we got down to.
Absolutely.
So
it's the most sophisticated spreadsheet that I've ever seen. It's just astonishing. So, but so all of this, we're like that duck going across the pond. I mean, just looks like it's all clean, but there's just a ton of work going on underneath. And so this initiative that Max is talking about now is an opportunity for all of us. The first 100,000, I hope the first $100,000 comes from our community, because, I'd sure like 2 for 1. I believe in the future of this project. I know that part of the use of funds when the bigger money comes in is to be able to make whole the E-I-O-Us. And so that's going to be like just an absolute key priority. And you guys know Max by now and his reputation and his commitment to this project. And he knows that what makes us great is you, me, Gene, Enrique, Todd Lewis, everybody who has wet oars right now. And so being able to get, if you put in $1,000, you're going to get 2,000 back, but you're also going to get 1,000 ECR as well. I mean, that's a pretty good ROI. Now, how long will it take for that ship to come in? I don't know. We could have 21 million of VC come in within the next 2 weeks. I don't know. So,
well, even if it's Q1 next year, I mean,
right.
I would encourage people. Look, so we've got about $10 million of our hard-earned money out there in the market. The supply is about 15 million, but call it 50 cents, so under 10 million. If we have $10 million of value riding on that, but it's not just about the 10 million, because we were at 100 million almost in December. What is it worth to you for your Epic to go to $5, $10, $20? Do that math. I know it seems crazy, but if you have 1,000 coins, okay, whatever, I have $500, it doesn't change my life. But at $20, holy smokes, I can buy a car. Are you kidding me? And so if you can put in, 1% of what you have to make the other 99% go ballistic, wouldn't that be smart? So I think we should be smart here. We should all get behind this. A lot of people have been putting a lot of work into it for a long time. VCs deployed 32.8 billion into the blockchain sector in 2021. And a recent data point I learned from this Web3 Expo is that there's currently $100 billion of dry powder looking to come into our sector. And we're getting to the point. We have a 3-year-old network. We have a promising community with thousands of people. We have full nodes in 121 countries. We have proven ourselves past the point where serious people can take us seriously. Yeah.
Now, when you say this sector, I'm just going to show something right here. How much money did you say again?
32.8 billion.
Now,
in 2021.
Max, explain people what we're looking at there.
So this is the market cap of different asset classes in the world today. It's a moving target, and who knows with hyperinflation. So I don't know when this is, but we'll just take it at face value. So the biggest market in the world is real estate, 326 trillion. There's 300 trillion of debt. There's 56 trillion of equity.
What is 300 million? Okay, explain debt.
Okay, so when Apple sells a bond for $5 billion to investors at X% interest or whatever it is, to build a new factory, or when governments spend in a deficit to fight a war or stimulate spending, or lock us down and tyrannize us, whatever.
Yep.
When the government borrows money, that is debt. So the bond market is the biggest in the world aside from real estate, and a lot of that debt is actually real estate driven. So if you imagine a skyscraper in New York that costs $300 million to construct, they're not spending 300 million of cash. Maybe there's 30 million, 50 million of equity, and then the remainder is financing against that structure. So debt means an IOU, one party owes another party money, and usually that has interest attached. It can be paid along the way, or it can be paid at the end in a zero coupon model. But either way, it is a promise to pay in the future, and it is only as good as the person issuing the debt or entity's ability to pay.
So if I'm a VC and I have $100 million to invest, I might be able to make a decision. All right, do I want that 100 million to go into real estate or gold or stocks / equities, or this blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, or do I want to buy debt, invested in debt? That means probably a much less volatile investment, correct?
Yep. So risk and reward are correlated. So the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Traditionally, debt is the lowest yield on your money. It's the safest. It's superior in the capital stack. If you look at the balance sheet of a corporation, Fortune 500 or whatever, you can see in the event of a company going bankrupt, the bondholders get paid first, and the equity holders get wiped out. So in exchange for their junior position in the capital stack of a corporation, the equity holders usually expect a greater return, and that can come in the form of dividends or through appreciation in the capital value of their shares. But the bigger point here is, what is this? Almost $2 quadrillion of wealth out there. Now remember, Epic is potentially applicable as a settlement layer to all of this. We care a lot about the Epic price, and it really matters to us. But the world at large, as a neutral data processing utility that only has 15 million coins on it on its way to 21, I can see a world. You asked me the other day, what do I see down the road? And I said $10 million a coin. And that might even be conservative, because $10 million a coin at 20 million, let's say it takes times the singularity, what is that, 200 billion, something like this. So if we can only get to 200 billion in an overall wealth denomination market, because really we're not talking about the value of Epic, we're talking about denominating the wealth of the world in these terms, in Epic terms, rather than US dollar or euro or yen terms. That's the unit of account function of money that we mentioned in the original white paper. So it's a drop in the bucket. We are infinitesimal. We have a lot of room to grow, and investments like these into the infrastructure that we need to support billions of users, trillions of dollars, will help us get there faster.
See, I cannot wait for the day to where somebody wakes up and sees this graphic again. Everything changes a little bit, but that B coin is going to be a Epic Cash coin. and so they literally are pointing to all of this entire industry as Epic as the example instead of BTC.
And Uncle, for
sir.
anybody who thinks that this is like land of science fiction or whatever, I just like to draw attention to one simple thing. In 2008, in 2009, in 2010, 2011, 2013, and on, none of us who were early in BTC ever imagined BTC getting a slice of
great
anything.
Point.
Okay.
That's a great point.
And it really, you think you're doing kind of grassroots stuff right now. We're buying, buying crafts with Epic. We're paying for services. You know, you're getting a dog room for Epic, or you're
Yep.
getting, you know, in Miami you can get a latte for Epic, or you know, and it seems like, well, you know, you're not buying skyscrapers and you're not really moving the needle on the global economy. But that's exactly how Bitcoin started. It exactly, you know, we were running around trying to figure out what to do with this digital
Right.
money. And if people at that time didn't think and didn't dare and didn't try, this graph would look completely different. It wouldn't have that little tiny slice of crypto assets.
Nope.
So just because right now there's a B there, it doesn't mean that, you know, it cannot have an Epic symbol there. I think it comes down to use cases, and it comes down to ease of use, and it comes down to, most importantly, it comes down to us being unstoppable, unconfiscatable, and censorship resistant.
And, you know, I think I have a sneaky suspicion the world at large is going to be educated pretty soon. And Max, I am so looking forward to this. I know you're doing your DNA of Bitcoin podcast series. Can you give us a little update on that?
Yeah, so so far I've had 7 guests. I've had Kurt Wookert Jr., Saifuddin Ammus, Robert Breedlove, Mark Cuban, Chris Sullivan, Andy Hoffman, and latest was Chris Martinson. And there's quite a few more on the horizon. I think Todd is next, Todd Lewis, on Monday.
I can't wait.
And I'm actually working with the co-author Shannon Rowan right now on putting the volume 1 together out as an ebook. So as the podcast comes out, there will be the companion version, at least the first piece of it. Ultimately, there'll be hundreds of pages. We're just releasing it 1 bite at a time out into the world. What was astonishing to me in talking to these people, many of whom have significant followings about Bitcoin, was one of my questions is, have you ever read the Bitcoin white paper? And apparently that's not very important. So actually here, I'll just, I know we're getting short on time, but I'll just pull that up real quick.
Let me stop there.
Yeah, just so people can see. So just to show you where we're going with this is that the original words of Satoshi himself. Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. All right, what is Bitcoin? Well, bit is information, coin is money. Now, remember that the 150 million people that own the orange one, they think they're buying something that they're really not. And so we need to educate them about what is this thing exactly. So the goal of the exercise is that by the end, if people engage with the content, whether it's the book or the podcast or the forum or the community or the DAO or anything else like that, that once you understand what Bitcoin is, you won't be fooled and you won't be suckered into this nonsense that the laser-eyed bullies want you to, to believe. So it's money that is information that has a network that operates on a peer-to-peer basis to be used as cash. And why are these things important? Why does Satoshi say not going through a financial institution? Okay, well, let's dig into that. And this is just the outline, this is not finished, but what's the difference between a purely peer-to-peer network and a mostly peer-to-peer network? Oh, well, let's just get her partially pregnant, a little bit of common sense regulation. Let's see how that happens. 87% of Ethereum blocks are being censored based on the will of the United States government right now, 2 weeks after the proof of stake merge. These things really, really matter. A little goes a long way when it comes to violence. So you don't want to have to trust anybody. And if you do, then there are consequences. And so this is our opportunity to educate people about getting back to the basics of how this financial revolution all got started and why they should care. And if somebody reads this initial 20 pages, that's all this first piece is going to be, then they'll come away going, wait a minute, like, am I using a financial institution? Am I trusting a third party? Is this thing usable as cash? I mean, after a certain point, you got to ask yourself and go, wait a minute, like, what the hell did I buy? Why did I own this? Why do I own this thing?
To me, this is the ultimate reality check and an eye opener. Okay, because right now, just like you said, ignorance, people they're using it, they're buying Bitcoin, they're trying to use Bitcoin, and then they don't even know what it really is. They have not read the white papers. They did not know the intent with which it was created, which is partially was responsible for it being hijacked today, as it has been, because it really has been. Satoshi's vision has been hijacked, and what's ironic and sad is that it's been hijacked by the very things Bitcoin was designed to challenge.
Right.
That to me is a tragedy of sorts. And I think, Max, like what you're presenting is the reality of the situation. This was the intent. This is the reality we're facing today. And this is how Epic Cash represents that pure vision, that initial pure vision, but it uses today's technology, and it's confronting today's reality. And it's also unmasking this hijacked mechanism that's trying to tell you that Bitcoin of 2022 is the same as Satoshi's vision of Bitcoin in 2008. Right. It ain't, okay? No. So to me, this is just a bucket of cold water and a reality check.
Yeah.
And it also gives us an unassailable basis. The reason that we're starting here, and we're starting with Satoshi's words, and we're starting with a very limited amount of assertions, is that I don't want anything that anybody can argue about. The laser bullies are masters at bullshit and deflection, and if we give them anything to glom onto to muddy the waters, Mimble is shit, TCV, then they're going to do that. And so by starting with Satoshi's words and describing very plainly, this is what he said, or they said, because it's a group, not a person. It's not arguable, so they can continue to ignore us as long as they want. But one by one, we're gonna win hearts and minds and peel people away. And as we build our community and we educate them through resources such as Freeman University and epicentral.io, shout out to Raman, who's doing a fantastic job on translating our stuff into Indic languages. So please support Raman Pandwar's efforts if you haven't already. That will stand us in good stead with India's 1.4 billion people in the years to come. Our tribe grows, and we become effective advocates through our engagement with others to teach them and educate them. And every person we bring into the network, it grows the value of our own positions, and you can do business with more people. So if I know somebody in Sierra Leone and I want to send him $50 to do something, I can do that using Epic, as long as he's got a way to work with it on his end. Then we can use that as an intermediate rail, whereas we couldn't really do that during using the existing banking system. Cross-border payments, on average, $200 payment costs on average 5.5% when it moves across the border. And payment processing intermediaries, big picture, extracted 1.9 trillion in rent from the economy in 2021. And our technology has the possibility to bring that down to essentially zero. And so bringing it back to the point of today's call, is what we're doing is we're investing in that infrastructure that we're going to need when we have this blockchain that can do 1 billion transactions a day. That's a lot of people. Imagine like a highway that gets built, and then or railroad track. A railroad comes into town, and when one railroad crosses another, pretty soon there's a hotel there, there's a restaurant, there's a resupply depot. Like we've seen from the history of how infrastructure evolves and unfolds, how that goes, and it's the same thing here. So we're really thinking ahead. This is not about today. This is not about 50 cents. This is not about being coin number 953 on CoinGecko. This is about the things that we need to be on top and stay there and resist the corruption forces that have compromised the existing leaders. Their aging vulnerabilities and internal weaknesses are the white space and blue ocean of our opportunity.
I'm going to just make a recommendation that I've already made, but the DNA of Bitcoin, Volume 1, I really encourage you to make it part 1 of 10. You can always move the goalpost later if you need to say part 1 of 21 later, if it just continues to grow. But just that there would feel more like a you know, series
Sure.
of
Tell
trillions.
Spencer. Yep, sure. Tell Spencer.
Okay.
And we will do it.
Okay, and what everybody should know is through the DNA of Bitcoin and through the podcasts, Max is brilliantly being able to use these BTC Maxie's own words, and I'm not going to say undress or embarrass. I know that is not your intent, but it's certainly going to expose the fact that what they think Bitcoin is not what it is, and ultimately, I presume, correct me if I'm wrong, that by part 10, let's say, Epic Cash will have been introduced into this book. And
absolutely.
kind of the punchline at the end is, if we look at the DNA of Bitcoin, Epic Cash is more Bitcoin than Bitcoin, right?
Than BTC, absolutely.
Or than BTC, right?
If you get back to the original canonical work of why the system was created, what the intention was, what you're supposed to be able to do with it, for people that invest the time to educate themselves, there will be no doubt in their mind that if you want peer-to-peer electronic cash on an open public blockchain that's borderless, censorship resistant, confiscation resistant, permissionless, trust minimized, scalable, and politically neutral, you have one alternative. Epic is the only protocol in the world that can meet those needs. And once you understand what Bitcoin is and why people are so in love with it, and why the ugly orange one has a $400 billion market value, is because they're in love with the things that we have in the DNA of our network, because Epic was designed according to the DNA of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin Core today is so far from Bitcoin on so many levels, it becomes laughable. Somebody that gets through part 3 will be going, wait a minute, like, I can't read this book anymore. I got to go sell that crap and buy some Epic before the next guy that reads this goes and buys the same, because shit, it's already X price. It used to be cheaper. I don't want to miss that boat. So education drives awareness and ultimately a reckoning in their minds of what am I trying to do here. The other thing is, even on the store of value narrative, that's what we'll get into in later chapters. I want to start with Satoshi's original words, but if we look at how it's unfolded over time, the current narrative is that BTC only has to be a store of value. Okay, well, as a store of value, what's the most important thing? Being able to get your value out, and what are the realities of the market landscape that protect that scarcity. Originally, it was through disinflationary halvings. In the first 3 years of BTC, 10 million coins came out, and then the next 4 years, only 5 million come out. The next 4 years, only 2.5 million come out, and then 1.25. And so that scarcity of less coins coming out through the mining process is what drove the original ascent from zero to ultimately 69,000 and now 20-something thousand dollars. But if you look at the actual market reality of all the bootleg DVD copies of the movie that are out there, there's not 19 million coins on the network alone. There's 44 to 50 million total when you include paper coins. And what is the supply of network coins plus paper coins going to be in 2028? Well, it's going to be 20.3 million for BTC and Epic. BTC will probably have 100 million paper coins by then, or who knows? I mean, as we've seen in gold, it can be hundreds of times. So sky's the limit, but we're going to have 20.3 million, and that's going to be a hard number.
Right. And you know, don't worry, folks, the big guys have a plan. You know, I mean, Coinbase is not worried, because for 2 reasons. One, they have your keys. So they don't allow you to, well, how do they put it? We manage your keys for you. Okay. It's not like you can ever get at them, but they manage your keys for you. And the best part, quote unquote, you know, you're talking about store of value. Well, while your Bitcoin is on Coinbase, it's treated, in case of a bankruptcy, it's treated as an unsecured asset. So there you go.
And
how
also,
much more, what kind of a storage of value is that, where your money is in the bank, but you can't see it, like you can't, control it. And it's also, you're at the bottom of the food chain, being the unsecured debtor in case something happens to the entity that's holding your
That is
keys.
such a great point, Max. In the book, I hope you unpack the laws that demonstrate that.
Yeah, and it gets even worse because for those of you who are in the EU, or even if you're not, it is now the law in Europe that if you use a custodial institution like Coinbase to manage your keys, then when you withdraw, let's say you want to send $1,000 worth of BTC to your poker buddy or your mom in Ukraine or wherever, you have to KYC the recipient and provide all kinds of information. And if they don't like who you're sending it to, they will say no. And also, as we've seen, PayPal updated their terms of service to say, if we don't like what you say online, we're gonna hit you for $2,500. So now, like, they're gonna take your money based on political whims as well. In South Korea, they directly debit crypto exchange accounts for the taxes that you are believed to owe. So they take it straight off the top.
And by the way, for those of you who use PayPal and you're like, it's not going to affect me, I have my, I don't have any balance there. What do you mean it's not going to affect you? In the terms of service, if you have attached your credit card, they can go ding you for $2,500 that's going to come out of your credit card. So this is why everybody is shutting off their PayPal. But meanwhile, if people do have some PayPal in their balance, I'm sure Enrique will
send it. Yeah, if you have PayPal, send it to Enrique, because if you've been talking online and they don't like what you say, eventually they're going to come and hit you for that $2,500. So send your PayPal to Enrique. You'll get rid of worthless dollars and get $2 back of Epic more later.
And then shut that shit down. Well, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if you shut down your account, PayPal will send you a notice saying, please don't close your account. We'll give you a $15 credit. So I would say take their $15 and then shut your account down, or shut it down, take their $15 and then shut it down again.
Yeah. So I don't know about everybody out there, but I found today to be one giant encouraging show. And I really, really am grateful, because I'm going to miss you guys for a week. So I know I'm going to come back and listen to this. And I rarely do listen to my own shows, but Max and Gene, thank you. And everybody in the chat, appreciate it. I do like Tillman's comment. BTC got the injection from Blockstream and changed its DNA. That's really insightful. That's a great kind of way to articulate it. But unless you guys have anything else, I just want to say thanks again. And it's not goodbye. It's see you later. I'll see you guys in a little over a week. Max, Gene, I'm sorry, Yoga. I love you. You guys have anything to take us out?
Yeah, just we won't let you down. And $100, $1,000, $10, whatever you've got, please consider supporting what we're working on. There's been so many people burning the candle at both ends for so long, and we've done a lot. And right now, what we need is just take a little bit of kerosene and throw it on our smoldering fire and get a rager going. So the more the
best way, if somebody's listening right now and they're saying, okay, well, how do I do it? How do they do it? How do they pull the trigger?
Go ahead, please, if you would, after the show, because I have a call here in 10 minutes. Put the link out of the Epicenter DAO E-I-OU offering, the Google Doc that we went through. Just put that out through the chats and encourage people to donate. All the information you need is in there, as far as addresses and the process. McMurphy is available, Yoga is available, I'm available. the information is there. So circulate that around, and let's get going. And we
All right,
we won't wait. We'll put it
somebody-
immediately to work.
Yeah, somebody watching, please do that, because I can't commit to that, because right after this, I've got a boatload of honey-do
Yoga.
I have to get done. Thank you. But
right.
I will, once I publish my show notes, I'll include it right at the top.
Yeah, yeah, and the more the merrier. We don't just want a single message out. Let's keep banging the drum. So in terms of timing, I don't know how much appetite is out there. A lot of people in our community check in once in a while. They're not on there every minute of every day, like some of us are. So if you're more occasional, we hope we don't miss you. But I think into next week, we'll probably start on the DeFi crowdfund platforms. And so whatever appetite there is internally, basically, this is a really juicy deal, and we want our community to benefit first,
Max,
before going out to the wider world. Yeah.
Max Yoga, what do you think of the notion of spinning up a dedicated new Telegram group to this initiative?
I
Makes sense?
love it.
I guess it's possible. Yeah. Hey, one thing that just popped up that I saw, there's this Christy B that keeps asking the same question and keeps ignoring all the answers. There's somebody there. How do you address the 51% attack risk? Okay, so there's probably about 100 hours worth of conversations that we talk about this, through the multi-algo approach and through all these other things. But hey, if you don't want to read that and ignore the hundreds and times of answered, maybe you're not really trying to ask the question and find out the answer. So keep copying and pasting this everywhere. Okay.
You only take flack if you're over the target. We must be doing something.
3 algos. Right. It's really simple. 3 algos. Okay. Read up.
You need all 3. You need to control all 3.
And if you're going to bring up, the, oh my God, the centralization of mining. Okay. Please realize, even with ice mining, this is actually spread across a multitude of servers. So this is not a single server having that. Okay. We're adding more miners. We are, we're going to expand the algo mix also. So again, look, I know you're trying. I know you're really trying.
I don't know if she's trying or not, or if she's.
I don't think it's a she. I'm sorry. Okay.
Or whatever. Christy B, the ankle. I'm just letting you know, it's my movie, and she can post as much as she wants in my channel. God bless you. No one's ever gonna read it, because now you're hidden.
Bottom line is, I don't know what her preferred pronouns are, okay, but the answer is there, and the answer has been answered so many times by somebody who is way more technically apt than me. Okay, Todd Lewis talked about it. Yeah. There's so many papers online about multi-algo approaches that actually make the blockchain more resistant to the 51% attack. I mean, all you have to do is freaking Google it, okay? If you don't believe us, there's plenty of other resources. But the bottom line is, look, it works, okay?
I don't think that's a genuine question. I think that's a troll who's trying to cause agenda, or has an agenda trying to cause problems. So I hope, Christy B, whoever you are, whoever sent you, whoever you work for, I hope that in time we will be big enough to merit a much more competent troll approach. Because that's pretty weak.
Yeah, we definitely deserve better trolls.
Yeah, you can do better than that. I hope that the Monero trolls from the 3-letter guys that have been undermining them for years come over and start attacking us, because that's child play. We're not here to play checkers.
Those are rookie numbers. Okay, you got to get your game up. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Your size is not size.
Giving Christy B the benefit of the doubt, Christy B, if you are legitimate and real, you can DM me in Telegram, and we can have an exchange and a discussion.
Or
Freeman,
read the last 6 times this question was answered specifically to you. This is why I'm thinking like they're not really hunting bear, but anyway.
Yeah, or come to Freeman U. We've got all kinds of info out there. I mean,
E.me/Freeman U. That's with a U, not a YOU.
Our network is secure. It's pumped out 1.6 million blocks since inception. Our uptime's been 100%, except for the one oopsie that we had, the same as BTC did back in March of 2021, which we fixed in the exact same way. So, we've got a really robust structure here that if it was going to break, it would have long ago. And whether it's 51% attack or all kinds of other attacks, we are ready. So bring it on.
We have more uptime than Solana. Okay, there you go.
Well,
Mic drop.
that's not saying much. A 7-year-old man without his Viagra prescription has more uptime than Solana.
Yikes. That's probably good. This is probably a good time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Good time to say goodbye, everyone. I'll